The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash, a roundtable of Cowboys insiders dropping wisdom and offering sizzling takes on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys. Now, your host, Newy Scruggs.
Here we are, Media Mash. It's April. We're getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. I'm Newy Scruggs. There's the Hall of Famer Ed Werder. We've got Jacques Taylor in the house with his national championship gear. I don't know about you, Ed. You're wearing short sleeves. I'm wearing short sleeves. I'm wearing a T-shirt. But see, this is purposeful.
Just cut those sleeves off. Give it the Belichick
I spend much of the day as president of the JJT Media Group working in coffee shops. I've learned anytime you wear a T-shirt, you freeze.
Okay.
So you can always take the sweatshirt off. In this case, I won't. But you can always take it off. But you can never have it if you need it, as Mama used to say.
Well, you know, Chris being producer keeps it room temp, so you're going to be good in here. You're going to be good.
But I wasn't coming from the crib, man. Some of us working men, we got to work all day long.
Take it off now, but you won't. But I understand.
If I show these guns, I get arrested out here, dog.
Where's our fourth guy? Where's Clarence?
He's stuck in there somewhere, man. It's more time for us.
He's an interesting traveler. He doesn't know he's late until he lands, apparently.
I tried to say maybe the Wi-Fi was messed up on the plane, but some people in here don't believe he would have bought the Wi-Fi.
And he wants us to pay $41.
All City Dallas would have bought it.
Maybe not.
He's not going to buy it. But the show goes on.
After yesterday, though, after all the material that was produced at the Breakers,
I was looking for him.
I mean, Clarence was right there. He justified any expense he might have submitted with the Jerry Jones comments yesterday that created such a ruckus around the league.
Yes, Ed, let's start right there.
Yeah, let's start right there.
Let's start right there. Gerald Wayne Jones making sure he gets to the microphones and lets us know his opinions here. That Micah Parsons in the negotiation, there's framework. It's like
they talk bonuses.
Got the blueprint. It's there.
Guarantees.
I don't need his
term.
His agent. Who? Davey? Who? I don't need him.
Dave Boulageta, who's that?
Laka. Who's he?
Boom Laka.
Yes. So Ed, you've been a beat writer. Jacques, you've been a beat writer before you guys did the TV thing, so you understand the depths and the day-to-day stuff dealing with Jerry Jones. What is he trying to say when he says that?
I don't really know what purpose is served by insulting the owner and making himself look bad by association. I mean, if Jerry really doesn't know the name of the agent who's done some of the most historic contracts in the NFL and represents one of the three best players on your roster, doesn't that indict him as a general manager not to know the identity of that person? Look, I think it's fine that Jerry has a relationship with his players as superstars. He always has. It's fine that he has them in and talks contracts with them, but there's no reason to diss a prominent agent that you're going to have to do business with at the end of the day. And, I mean, obviously it was such an issue that Micah decided to go public with an endorsement of his agent and say there's not going to be any backdoor deals. I hired this guy because he's an expert, and I plan on using his expertise to my benefit.
The only thing I thought right away was, well, that's going to cost you another $1 million or $2 million. And the next thing is, can't you just see, as Micah signed that contract, Mughaleta saying, what's my name? What's my name? What's my name?
Ali style.
Can't you see that? I thought it was ridiculous, man. He's one of the best agents in the game right now. I mean, hands down, with the deals that he's getting his guys. He always wins, and to go out of your way to antagonize him just seems bad business to me.
You don't know the guy who signed Deshaun Watson to the only fully guaranteed contract
that all the owners in the league got together to say, let's not do this again.
This is never happening again. Just signed Antoine Winfield to the highest paid contract for a safety. Signed Derek Stingley and the Texans this offseason to the highest contract for a corner.
He's that guy right now, and so clearly you know who he is. You're just messing with him, man, for no good reason.
Again, but you've already done a contract with Micah Parsons, Dave. Unless you're trying to say Steven did it, and the cap guy did it without. I mean, and I asked that question because Ed, famously, you go back to the whole. Hey, any one of 500 coaches could do that. He gave you that quote when he was done with Jimmy, but. I'm just trying. That day when he hit you at that, there was a purpose where he was going, and so that was my thoughts. Like, I got to ask Ed, tell me the purpose. Jacques, tell me the purpose of going there.
I don't know if there is one other than, man, everybody knows when you get old, you feel like you say whatever you want to say.
I think Jerry just.
That's why everybody, grandmama, talk about your baby. Look at you. You need to just lose some weight. You're fat. Because they can say what they want to say. Don't worry about your feelings. Jerry's 80-something years old. He's at that stage now. He can say what he wants to. He don't care about your feelings.
Jerry's always loved for people to know that he has a great relationship, a fatherly type of relationship with the best players in the history of the franchise since he became the owner. I think the thing that got missed in all of this, and to me, which was the bigger news because of Jerry slighting David Mulugheta the way he did, was Jerry saying, I'm going to hold off on this deal. There's no sense of urgency here because I want to see if you're going to demonstrate to me the kind of leadership I want if I'm going to pay you what you're asking, which means to me that they're not totally enchanted with what they've seen from Micah Parsons as a leader to this point. And there's clearly a leadership void on the defensive side of the ball at the start of this season. No. And Mike has always viewed himself as a leader. I'm not sure everybody in the locker room viewed him that way.
Well, Tank didn't.
Huh? Yeah, right.
Tank did. I asked this question of Clarence a couple weeks ago. Maybe I talked with you guys. Were the Cowboys happy that Mike is going to be their defensive leader? My man Chill right there said it doesn't matter. He's a leader. I said, well, it does matter if they want him to be. And I always say, like, T.O. was a leader. You're not happy he's a leader. You wish he were not a leader because he leads.
He split the team.
Yeah. Yeah, watching Sam Hurd and Roy Williams following T.O. was not a good thing.
Right. So it matters who leadership is. And so I ask you, you think the Cowboys are happy that right now he's in a leadership role and there's really nobody to challenge him for that position?
I would say there's concern about it, given what Jerry said yesterday. My willingness to make you the highest paid non-quarterback in football and to give you the salary that we've talked about in my office multiple times for 5 or 6 hours. The reason I gave you the privilege of having my cell phone number is because I want you to be this sort of player if I'm going to invest at that level. So to me, they are not content with it. They do there are definitely people in this organization still, not just DeMarcus Lawrence who left or Jordan Lewis, who question Micah's motivation, right? There are people who still think he doesn't want to play within the scheme, that he just wants to get glory and rush the passer and accumulate sacks, and that he's never going to be a team-first player, that he needs to be more like Dak. Like, I think that's what Jerry wants. I think Jerry wants to see Micah be the Dak Prescott of defense. And that means
that ain't going to happen.
And that means you come even when you're not happy with your contract. You come to training camp in the offseason even when we haven't paid you what you think you're worth. And that's the situation he's in. He's going to be on the final year of his rookie contract. He wants a lucrative long-term deal, and Jerry's basically saying, I want to see you at minicamp. I want to see you at training camp, even though you're not signed.
Now, the problem with that is two things. Number one, quarterbacks don't have to act the fool because ultimately quarterbacks always get their money. And Correct. Two, Dak is an outlier leader. So, it's at one level, it's ridiculous to think that he's one. If Jerry says he's one of the best leaders I've ever seen on the Cowboys, why do you expect Micah to be that?
But he demonstrates what good leadership is. Micah sees it all the time.
Oh, I think it's more than that. I think Dak demonstrates what the 1% of leadership is.
Right, but if you have that kind of example in your locker room, isn't it hard not to emulate that? Yeah, because he's an outlier. You know what I'm saying? Like, his leadership skills are an outlier. He does stuff. He has leadership that's natural in the sense of, I just do this because I think that's what and I always go back to the point when he was a rookie and I saw him going around passing out candy to the offensive linemen and everybody. Hey, just a little bag. Hey, you want some? And he used to keep a bag in his locker. It's candy. It doesn't really mean anything, except that it does. Like, look at that. All right.
and it's just innate. For him, I think leadership is innate. For Micah and a lot of players, is not innate because Micah may be like a lot of guys. I want all the money, I want all the awards, but I don't want none of that responsibility. I just want to be worried about me.
I will say this in defense of Micah. At the end of the year, I thought he did begin to show some genuine leadership in his comments about his contract, which is, I don't need to make $40 million. I don't need to be the highest paid non-quarterback or the highest paid defensive player. I want guys around me to get paid. I want to keep this group together so I can perform and we can win games. Like, that is what you want him to say. And so I think he's moving in the right direction. But I just know since he's been here, there's always been this schism on the defensive side of the ball with him in the locker room, to the point that, I don't know if you felt this way, but as a media person, I was always like, when you're listening to Micah, when you're walking away from another, if Jordan Lewis is talking to you, you walk away from him. Or if DeMarcus Lawrence is talking, you walk away from him because Micah's available. They're watching that. Mm-hmm. And what judgments are they making about us based on who we're listening to?
So I liken this a little bit when you talk about the leadership situation and the player to someone that I covered when they first came up, which was Kobe Bryant, who Micah Parsons likes.
Quotes him all the time.
Yes. Micah's guy spent his first 4 years really in his own self. Kobe was not a leader. Kobe was...
Was he 17?
And he talked about it because he mimicked a lot of things that Jordan said, but he just wasn't. And Kobe, obviously, with a 20-year career, he grew into it. And I bring this up, as you guys been former beat writers, some of this stuff does take some time. Here's Dak Prescott, played a lot of football at Mississippi State, and my gosh, we know the backstory of what he's gone through. And Micah's a little different, coming out of Penn State. Remember the whole little issue about the locker room hazing thing and stuff going on at Penn State? Certain guys got to grow a little bit. I think sometimes we can forget. I mean, these guys are 20-something-year-old dudes.
I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence grew into a leader. I mean, he didn't even say boo his first 2 years, and then he evolved into one. But he didn't mind. To me, he didn't mind the responsibility that came with it. Like, responsibility is basic, just like the quarterback. When you get your butt handed to you, you stand there and take the questions. You don't dip and be like, I'll see you guys later. Or you don't give short one-word answers and be gone in 30 seconds. That kind of thing.
You don't question the work ethic of the head coach who's already under fire?
Yeah, that too. And so he can certainly evolve into a leader. And now I do agree 100% with it's about, and as parents, we all do it. I was telling a story the other day about one of the worst, I think we should use tongue lashings my son ever received. Was he was supposed to do something, he was about 12, and he said, well, I didn't feel like it, so I didn't. And he got the whole list of things I do that I don't feel like doing as a parent. And so for Micah, you get the money, dog. Yeah, you got to do a bunch of stuff you don't feel like doing.
That's what it comes with.
You become one of the faces of the franchise. So, yeah, you got to show up at the OTA that's voluntary, even though you don't want to, because that's what leadership is. That's what being the highest paid player is all about.
So if that is the underlying thing that Jerry's possibly saying,
I thought he flat out said it.
Then and maybe he said it to him, but how do you get that? Is this Jerry? Is it Schottenheimer or something? How do people get it to get this? Hey,
you just say, hey, dog, we need to see whatever the voluntary, we need to see you at all the off-season workouts. And we need to see you here early and being, the last one off the field,
This is what it comes with. As Jason Gary said, this comes with the meal.
Yeah.
And you want to be the highest non-paid, non-quarterback in the league. This is what happens. OTAs, you're here. You're
leading, setting the example.
Not OTAs last year where you flew in because NBC was doing the Sunday night promos. You skipped it, came in there, did your little thing, waiting on Sunday night, and then you bounced out.
No, you're there early. You show up in the meeting rooms. You there as, before the meeting starts. Just the normal stuff that leaders do. You set the tone.
It's important because of all of the personnel they've lost over the last 2 seasons and the fact that there's no consistency on the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. This is the third defensive coordinator in 3 years. So you need him to create that stability and be that consistent voice on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's what Jerry wants. That's what Jerry says he wants. I think Jerry's going to have to pay him either way.
Sure. Sure. But I think this is...
But it's a chance for them to make that a point of emphasis.
And that was my next thing. This is the time to go ahead and set the parameters of what it is you want.
Right.
Yeah.
We want you here. We want to give you this record-breaking contract. But on the other side, this is what we say it comes with.
You know, the other thing I mentioned that you talked about evolving as a leader and as a young player. I think that's certainly possible. And like I said, there have been indications late in the season with how he framed his desire about the contract and what his priorities were in that regard, that he did show some leadership. I think he showed even more leadership when he came back from that sprained ankle and played the way he did. I mean, he missed 4 games. Other players went down with different injuries and never came back, or took far longer than the team expected to come back from injuries. And Micah seemed like he really applied himself to get back as soon as possible, even though the season wasn't going the way the Cowboys expected it to go. And there really wasn't much to play for by the time he was healthy again.
He wanted his 10-digit sacks. He wanted that, which hey, look.
That helps the team win.
That's the old Pete Rose thing. When somebody said all Pete Rose cares about is hitting 300 and getting 200 hits and scoring 100 runs. The guy was like, at some point in time, don't you think that's going to help? Don't you think that's going to help the Reds? If yeah, Pete's selfish as heck, but boy, that's what Pete cares about. That's somewhere along the line is going to help you. So if Micah Parsons, hey, I need my double-digit sacks, and he's coming back to play, I just still think, and this is just my opinion, I just still think this is a part of growing up, and everyone does it in their own times. But we sometimes, especially I say your older fan base, you got guys who have kids in their 30s. You should be like that. Ain't that way, man. You'd like it to be, but it's not always that way. But clearly you have a player that's really good. You don't get many players like a Micah Parsons on your team. And they've
done things almost nobody has done in this short space of time early in your career. I mean,
yeah, nobody's disputing he's a great player. And because he's a great player, you want more.
And that's where you have to harness that thing. And I was lucky enough that I was there when Phil Jackson got to the Lakers after Del Harris was the head coach and then Kurt Rambis was the interim, and then here comes Phil. And Phil was able to connect with Kobe and get what he needed out of Kobe to make him a champion. And we'll see if Brian Schottenheimer, come back from the break talking about this, he talks about his relationships with people.
Des Bryant was a great player who couldn't give you that leadership, never evolved into it. There's always something about me. You know what I mean? But he was
nature of his position.
He was a great player. But Michael Irvin
often it put him at odds with the quarterback and the tight end here.
But Michael Irvin was a great player, and it was all about me, but it was all about the team and me. No, it was about me and the team.
And I think where Michael came from, that program, helping win the national championship, and also Michael being, people forget, Michael graduated from the University of Miami. Michael is a smart guy. He's just not some jock. Michael's a smart guy. Got a business administration degree. So,
and he was here before Troy and before Troy and Emmett.
Yeah. So got here in '88. I think they're same number of different players, different people, a lot of different ways. He's the Hall of Famer. Ed Werder is John Jock Taylor. I'm Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Up next, waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof backpacks. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes, and next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings, sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
This is Nate Newton from Hanging with the Boys, and Wingstop is here to bring the flavor to game day as the official wings of the Dallas Cowboys. Order now by downloading the Wingstop app or order it online at wingstop.com.
Hey, Cowboys fans, a 2024 football season is here, and SeatGeek is here to help you experience all the action. SeatGeek makes it easy to find tickets so you can be a part of all the touchdown celebrations this season. Whether you're buying or selling tickets to Cowboys football games or to any other live event, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek is the official primary ticketing partner of the Dallas Cowboys. The most disruptive idea in ticketing? A ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek.
How about them Cowboys? Or how about them Tyson Cowboys Nuggets? As we cheer for the stars on the field, we love that we've also got some stars on our plate, thanks to Tyson brand star-shaped Cowboys Nuggets. They sure make game day special, and for every purchase of the new Tyson Cowboys Nuggets this holiday season, Tyson Foods will donate $1 to the Salvation Army up to $100,000. As you enjoy your stars on and off the plate, remember, tailgates and game day have always been Tyson.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash, sponsored by nobody. Working on it. Year 2, 3, we still working on it.
That's where Clarence is.
I was saying,
He's out hustling.
He's out putting it together.
What do you call it? Executive producer?
Yeah, he's the Puff Daddy of the show, executive producer, man. All in the background, all in the video, all that. Hall of Famer Ed Werder. I'm Newy Scruggs. All right, Brian Schottenheimer. So Brian Schottenheimer, first time head coach out there, in Florida.
From the national media.
Yeah. Shotty's a likable guy. I tell people, because Cowboy fans, I was in Alabama during the NCAA tournament, people ask me about Cowboy fans, I said, Shotty is a guy you would like. You meet Brian Schottenheimer, you would like him. He's a likable guy.
Right.
But there's just a lot of unknowns. It's a lot of unknowns. And yes, Marty Schottenheimer was his father. And some people look at that as pluses and some people look at the minuses of Marty. Personally, I think Marty's a Hall of Fame head coach. That's just my opinion. But we will see if he's allowed to do what he does. And he's big on relationships. And that's when I kind of go back into Micah Parsons. What type of relationship can Schottenheimer have and needs to build, especially because he's an offensive guy, Mike is a defensive guy?
Well, the challenge for him, first of all, is to prove he's capable of being a head coach for the first time and preparing a full team and making adjustments during the game, and at the same time calling plays on offense for the first time with the Cowboys. He's never done that here before. He's done it other places. But yeah, I think he's a guy who will and does prioritize relationships and the importance of that in team building. I mean, he talked about going to all these pro days recently and how his part of that is evaluating, these players, these prospects as people and how they're going to fit into your system and what you can expect from them and that sort of thing. So I think he'll be good at that part of it, and I think he'll do the same thing on the defensive part of it. Like, I've always been impressed from all the time he's been here as an assistant, every Monday when he comes out and speaks to us about the offense. I thought he's always been very engaging and very detailed in his explanations. He knows how to give the media what the media wants in a way that some head coaches here have not in the past, and I think it's been detrimental to them overall. So I think he'll be great at that part of it. But he's got to prove that he can handle a whole team and manage a game, and that's more difficult. Some of those things are more difficult with the Cowboys than in other places because of the unique dynamics in play with this organization and the way it's structured and operates.
Well, I think creating relationships with players and coaches is an underrated thing. Like, if you see what Dan Campbell has done in Detroit, he's created relationships with his players, and they give it back to him by playing at a certain level. But I also think on an individual level, if guys know, not just that you care about them, but that you actually know something about them, the wife's name, the kid's name, they just play harder for you. It's like anything else. When you feel appreciated by your boss, it's not that you say, hey, I'm going to go do this you just go, this will make Newy happy. I'm finna go do this today. I'm going to give a little bit more, a little bit extra because he treats me right. I want to make him look good. All those little things come into play. Even as a columnist over the years, one of my big things has always been we forget that athletes are humans.
Yes.
Like, they're like people. They're like seriously, they're like people.
Like people?
They got the same.
They're almost
emotions.
people.
You know what I mean? Like, they got the same emotions you got. They get mad, they get happy, they get sad, they get irritated, aggravated, and their wife is driving them crazy at the crib because they didn't do something. Their mama's still asking them they got these real life issues. And if you can buy into that and get to really know them and understand, now that don't mean you can't perform at work, but I understand you may have this going on, so blase, you can get the most out of them. And to me, Schottenheimer off the rip seems to be that kind of coach. And Parcells was like that in a way. Even though he was gruff with the media, he was like that with players. He knew everything that was going on with them. And so you can have success like that. They still got to perform, but it gives you a chance.
And I think he's got relationships with the offensive side of the ball and a strong relationship with the key players on that side of the ball.
You got to be intentional about it too. It doesn't have to be like some happenstance. You have to be intentional about creating these relationships.
But he talks about how he's here all the time, and he spends a lot of time walking the hallways and going to the locker room, going to the weight room, and engaging players in those capacities, which I think is a good thing too.
Yeah.
So stay with me here on that, and let's go back into Jason Garrett, because I remember he had the relationship, and we saw it publicly with Tony Romo, Jason Witten, DeMarco Murray. They all show up at Duke.
I said, I thought that was dumb.
And
that's too much of a relationship. Y'all ain't boys.
See him in other events and
Mavericks games.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Duke,
you can't socialize with
SMU
them.
basketball.
You can socialize with a group, but you can't be socialized with a couple of players.
Right. Yes.
Right. That's terrible.
And I heard from some still to this day from some defensive players. You bring it up, and the mood is.
And when some of those players are the same ones who are doing the same thing with the owner, that causes even more problems.
Yeah, it can't be like that, man. It's as a coach, you just have to understand, man. You're not boys. You're not friends, because at some point you got to make a hard decision. Either I got to cuss you out, or I got to bench you, or I got to cut you, and we can't do that if we boys.
I mean, no, Garrett did do it with Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. He did do that part of it.
I give him credit for that.
How many rings did that produce? Over 10 years? Championship games? Anything?
Hey, man, there's a lot of reasons for that.
He's one of many coaches.
And I think, like I said before, I think Schottenheimer knows how to win the press conference on a regular basis.
That gives you a break.
And Jason was never interested in that for some reason. Like, he would be the way he was, and I think a lot of fans were put off by him because he
arrogant, condescending.
Yeah, he was condescending in that. Well, we know things that you don't know.
Aloof.
You don't know football well enough to judge us, no matter what. That you just watched bad football for 3 hours. Who are you? We know what the reality is, and you don't, because you're not a part of it yet. And then he would step off to the side, and he would be great, right? Off camera, he was great. And he never used that to his advantage. And I still ask Babe Laufenberg why he didn't do that. Like, he saw Aikman develop relationships with people in the media and Michael and how that benefited them. Why didn't he want that kind of benefit of the doubt?
That's an interesting point. Like, you don't have to be like that with everybody. You can pick and choose who you want to be that with. Some guys say, okay, they show up in town, they go, hey, they talk to the PR person, who's the most powerful columnist in town? Okay, that's my new boy. Or who's the biggest TV personality?
Well, that's what Parcells did.
Okay, that's my new boy.
He was following Galloway, and then I remember when Rick Carlisle got hired by the Mavericks. I was working over at ESPN 103.3, and Carlisle was supposed to be on. I was filling in for the Galloway show, me and Brian Estridge, and Carlisle gets on the phone, thinking it's Galloway. He was mad.
I called to talk to the big dog.
Right. Called talk to these dudes.
But that's what you
we were like, sorry, Randy's off. We'll let him know.
But tell me when Randy's on. I'll be on then.
But Carlisle, just like, he understood who are the power brokers, who do I need to talk to?
Yeah. But it was a decision Jason clearly made, because you look at him in the media now, he's great, right? He's great again. He could have been that as the head coach. He chose not to be for whatever reason.
So part of me wonders, was it that Saban factor for him at all? Where, you're around Nick in Miami, and Saban's got the Lankter, and he does all that. But
it could be, but you got to have some self-awareness, man. You ain't Nick.
Right. Nick had national championships.
You got all the national championships. You can act how you want to act. You Bill Parcells, you got Super Bowls, you've been to championship. You can act how you want to act.
But we saw that, too, with Belichick assistants. When Matt Patricia was in Detroit, guys were turned off by him. So
all them cats were like that, man.
Except Kingsbury. Kingsbury never did. I asked him one time. He's like, you got to win. You do all that. At least Cliff was self-aware enough. I can't do that.
O'Connell's not like that. Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell's good. Two guys I was really wrong on is Kevin O'Connell and Dan Campbell. I thought both like this isn't gonna work, and I have been drastically wrong. And both guys,
I thought Campbell would work, man, just because he had been long-time assistants with guys who know how to get it done.
He's off the parsley.
And he had
tree,
but he didn't have that arrogance about it. I mean, he had the right personality with guys who got it done.
He just sounded so much at first like, those,
Like a
those
goober.
It sounded like one of those guys who cut in a wrestling promo. We're going to bite your legs off tonight. This is what next week is SummerSlam. We're going to be biting off.
Now, the key will be how long that'll last. Will that last for a long time, or will that be like the 4-and-out program? 5-and-out program.
I mean, one thing we do know he changed the culture in Detroit.
Hell yeah, he
Along
did.
with the general manager, Brad Holmes, who's got some sensational talent. And whatever they're doing there, the GM and the head coach know what they want. They're getting those kinds of players. Those players have bought in. And that looks like a team is going to be a contender here for the next 3 to 4 years.
But they haven't taken advantage of great opportunities they've created for themselves the last 2 years either. They were the number 1 seed. They lost the first game at home to a wild card Washington team with a rookie quarterback. And now Dan Campbell's lost his 2 coordinators to head coaching positions in the NFL. So that's a new challenge for him. But as far as Schottenheimer goes, I think the other things that impressed me that he talked about at the owners' meetings were the importance of, developing a meritocracy here. That you earn your playing time, that it's competitive every day in practice, which I think comes from Pete Carroll. That's the way he was in Seattle when he created those Super Bowl teams up there. I think that rubbed off and impressed Schottenheimer, and he'll implement that here. He also talked about how, in his mind, you build teams from the outside in.
Yes.
Which was kind of an interesting.
It is, but it's not.
Well, he's not wrong in that if you.
The highest paid guys,
Yeah, right.
The highest paid guys are on the perimeter.
Right.
Why? Because you score touchdowns on the perimeter, or you
you
score touchdowns on the perimeter, or you prevent touchdowns from being scored on the perimeter.
Game-changing plays are made by those players.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
But then at the same time, he talks about the need to dominate the line of scrimmage. If you're going to win in this division, and that's going to be, part of our purpose, and our mantra is going to be that. So I'm not sure how compatible those things are when you're trying to make the right decisions in a draft where you have limited opportunities to draft players. But if he truly believes in the outside-in thing, it would seem to suggest that they would emphasize a wide receiver, a corner, an edge rusher with at least their first pick.
Let's dive into that specifically, the wide receiver position. We'll do that with Ed Werder, Jacques Taylor, Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pregame sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pregame sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Media Mash.
Here we are, Media Mash, final segment. Ed Werder's here, Jacques Taylor's here, Clarence Hill. Maybe he'll join us next time around. I hope. I can't make any guarantees. But everyone's had ample time to talk and not get stepped on, and that's been really fun so far on the show. Just saying.
You're not saying that never happens when he's here. It just didn't happen today.
It just didn't happen today.
Coincidentally, Clarence is not here.
I think everybody got their
Really?
Really? Are we really doing this? Yes, we're really doing this. What we're really doing here. All right, wide receiver.
Get one.
Or more.
I heard Mingo talk again during this owners meeting.
No.
Mingo's name was brought up as though they were expecting something.
He's the first pick of the draft for them. They've already got him on the roster.
The worst
round
thing
pick.
about Mingo is they traded a 4th round pick for Mingo. Okay. And then I think it was Steven who said, yeah, we're looking for an explosive number 2.
He did say that.
What you trade for that dude for then, man?
If he's not that guy.
If he's not that guy, what are you doing?
So, all right, this is how I'm glad you bring that, because this is just how I'm thinking. So, by you saying that means if Ted McMillan's there at 12, you'll probably pass on him and you probably go for the kid Golden from Texas because you want some speed? Are we just telegraphing what we want to do?
That kind of sounds like it, knowing the Cowboys. But that being said, I mean, I'm good with either one of them. It's a, what do scouts say? It's a flavor of ice cream, whatever you like.
I wonder how many receivers there are that they think are worth the 12th pick in the draft. Should they?
That's a great question, because in most years there's like 16, 18 first-round picks. This is being kind of like a bad draft from that perspective. So maybe there's only 12 or 14 true first-round picks. And I wonder, I'm with you, I wonder which receivers are first-round picks on the board.
Well, it's interesting. There don't seem to be a lot of receivers who people view or rate as first-round picks, but at the Combine, 10 receivers ran the 40 in 4.4 or less, which is the most in any Combine since 2003. So there's some speed at the position, and that's what I think the Cowboys prioritize here rather than the size of the player. Now, McMillan is an acrobatic player. He's got an incredible catch radius. He scores touchdowns. Doesn't create a lot of separation. Doesn't necessarily have great speed. I think he timed pretty well. I think he timed in 4.5 something for his size. Not bad.
You want the guy who can create the most big plays for you. That's what
is that Golden? Golden ran 4.29 and consistently creates separation, but he's not as big. He's not a.
How big is he? Is he 6 something?
Yeah, I think he's 6 something.
Okay, I'll take that.
And then you got the Ohio State guy.
But he's not a. He's my boy.
He's 6'1", 202.
But he's not a big play guy.
He's not 12. He's not 12.
No, he's not. He's not creating separation for me. I mean, he's a really good route runner, but I don't view him as a guy in the league who's going to make a bunch of big plays.
So
he's going to be really good, but not like that.
Golden makes a lot of 20-yard plays.
That's and he may make more if he's got CD getting double covered on the other side and he's got one-on-one.
But I think that is a justifiable priority for this team going into the draft. As much as they talk about they need a running back, which they do, there's depth at that position, I think, unquestionably, that they can get good players later. Now, if Genty falls there, I think you got to take him. I mean, he seems like he's one of the 5 to 7 total blue chip players in this draft.
Here's the deal, man. I've said this many times, so I'm going to say it one more time. Kevontae Turpin cannot be your second best offensive player, your most, your big play guy. He just can't. He needs to be like your 4th or your 5th guy.
Right.
Then you got something going.
So we all covered the game enough to when Al Davis was around, where they believe speed kills. Al was about that speed. That was his thing here. And we've seen Andy Reid really go with it at Kansas City when having Tyreek Hill. They moved out Tyreek Hill, and now last year they used the first-round pick.
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy from
Rasheed
Texas.
Rice.
Right. So he's looking for that speed there. And when you've got an all-pro receiver in CeeDee Lamb, yes, here's a different one. They tried it with Brandon Cooks. They could not get it happening. Part of it was health and just a disconnect with
bad scheme.
But, with and I just use Golden's name, if you're talking about that and listening to what they said in terms of, okay, you think, well, we got big body Mingo, we got CeeDee Lamb, then here's a third guy. We got 3 different types of
guys. You got Jalen Tolbert. He's a bigger guy, right, at receiver.
And Tolbert has flashed a little bit, not consistently, but he's
not enough to be a 2, though.
No.
If he was going to be a 2, you'd know that by now.
No, but he's shown enough that, okay, now he can make a play for you on a given day.
It could be what Michael Gallup was when he was
Oh, you'd kill if he was Michael Gallup.
Right.
Michael Gallup was a good player.
Right, and they said, that
Tolbert is solid. He ain't good yet.
Well, if you have a McMillan,
it's surprising to me how many times, given how they view and value Dak Prescott, how many times they've shorted him at receiver in the course of his career.
They've really only had the 1 year where they had
Cooper, CD,
and a productive Gallup.
Right.
And that, I think they did pretty well that year.
They won the division that year.
That's what I mean.
And a playoff game.
So, just this conversation right here. Receiver at 12, running back in round 2?
Sure, if the right one's there, yeah.
Actually, I would say depends on the corner situation. If I can get a corner in 2 and there's a running back in 3, I might go that route. If there's not a worthy corner, then yeah, I'll go take the running back in 2.
They've got options. And just in talking in terms of just receipt,
they can trade.
They don't have options; they have needs.
And yes,
yeah, I like that.
Both, both. Yes, and I still wonder if a trade down doesn't come into play to try to because you lost the 4, if you trade down to try to recoup and
worked well last year for them. They moved down. They got
somebody
a
wants to
tackle
come
and a
up.
starting center out of the deal.
Yeah. So I just wonder. We saw it with Micah Parsons. We saw it with Roy Williams. So it's not something that Jerry won't do. But
I could see them trading down because now, obviously, in a draft like this, you go, well, really? But you also go, they're at 12, and if there's 14 first-round picks, and one of the both quarterbacks go, or maybe somebody like Jackson Dart, who's not kind of in that group that you think goes, some player that somebody covets could drop, and you'd be like, oh, I didn't know he was going to be there. Let's go get him. So I could see them having a couple opportunities to move down.
Well, look, it's going to be interesting, guys. It's going to be very interesting. Draft is coming here, and Micah Parsons' contract. Get it done. Just
not going to get done now.
Just get.
Eventually, it'll get done.
Just
as Mama would say, it's too much like doing right.
It's July. It's going to be a July thing. Things to do in July.
Okay, and so then he's not here for OTAs.
No, he'll be here because he wants to get that contract, and Jimmy's already told him what he wants to see.
But he ain't gonna be working out.
Why not? He's under contract.
Eberflus would love it.
See, Jerry, that's Jerry's thinking. Jerry always says there's no urgency. There's no urgency in his mind if the player has a contract for the upcoming season. That's the way he sees it. He says that about every one of these guys that is under contract for the next season. There's no urgency. I got him under contract. Same thing with McCarthy last year. Why do I need to worry? I got him under contract.
That's how that worked out.
Interesting way to do business.
That's how that all worked out, didn't we? Ed Werder, Jock Taylor, I'm Newy Scruggs for producer Chris Bean, Jazz, Josh, everybody here at DallasCowboys.com. We appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.